the SuccesSage team. This is Justin Ripley. He's a student, one of my students up at the Tech College. He'll be graduating in a couple of weeks, so you kind of know why he's here.
Yeah.
Kirsten Ford is with Focus Design. I think you're housed right here in this building. Carol Duff is in charge of a foundation. What's the name of your foundation again?
Duff Endowment.
Okay, the Duff Endowment. Mary Magnuson is from Blandon Foundation. And Jim Martinson, is he still here? There he is, from Ridgewater College. Out in what city are you in? Hutchinson, okay. And Tao Peng, I don't know if he made it back here today. He's a tech support person up at Southeast Tech. Well, the basic problem that we're trying to address here, everybody in the group is pretty interested in education. And one of the big problems that students have at pretty much any level, and the group that we're trying to address basically is high school students, college students, and those transitions from high school to college, and then moving on to internships or permanent employment. And those transitions are difficult if you don't have any, if you don't have any personal connections, mentors. Lots of students have no idea when they're in high school what they should be doing right now to prepare for college. Students show up for college without the proper preparation, spend a lot of time, or just don't succeed in college. At the next level, students are graduating from college, and they think that the job search starts on the day they graduate from college. It really should be starting, at least a year before that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have the servers running on a VPN, on a virtual server. I got to just connect up the VPN again here. So that's the basic problem that we're trying to address. We want to be able to connect students with mentors, both high school students and college students with mentors. One of the big problems that you always face with setting up a network like that is, where are you going to get the mentors from? Where are you going to find these experts? If you could sit at the high school or you could sit at the tech college for the rest of your life, and you might get two people to call up and say, hey, I've got a bunch of skills and I'd like to mentor people. So we need a way for students to capture that information and share that information with each other. So basically when college students are starting to look for an internship or a job or something like that, they go out and they may do informational interviews, they may do job interviews, interviews for internships, and they may talk to lots of different people before they finally find a position. And all of that information, all those contacts, the descriptions of jobs and so on, all that just disappears. Nobody knows who the students have talked to. So one of the main focuses here is we want to capture all that information and allow students to share that with somebody else. I go out and I do an informational interview. That company says, I'd love to work with you, but we don't have the resources right now, but call me next year. That student puts that contact into the database, and that information becomes useful for somebody else next year. It also brings the school into the picture a little bit. Right now, there's very little contact between a school and the alumni, both at the high school level and at the college level. The students finish school and they move on. Nobody knows what happened to them. The Alumni Association doesn't even know what happened to them, and they would love to contact those people for obvious reasons. So I think I'll have Kirsten talk a little bit about first kind of that group of high school students, how that process might work, and what kind of value you can provide for them.
Okay. So we have high school students that start planning way too late or don't know how to plan, and we're looking at having video time with a guidance counselor. We're also looking at having this application be free for students to use, that Organizations and schools can pay for access to use it. They can create a profile. Their profile is based on their interests, their favorite subjects, what their extracurricular activities are, and then there's more detail. A little louder, okay, sorry. And then, so they have profiles. The high school students have profiles, and then our mentors are also having profiles. And we're going to show you that, right, in a couple of slides here. And then the mentors are matched with the high school students, and then there's an opportunity to partner and to plan and to look at strengths assessment tests and kind of synthesize where their interests are and what potential college majors would be and what kind of classes they should take. So that's what we talked about.
So business model. How does this company work? Where does it get its revenue over the long term? So it would be free for students, alumni, mentors, the people that are directly involved. Students aren't going to pay money for this. But there are some people where the system over a period of time would have information that is very valuable to some organizations. One organization I can tell you, since I work at one, is a college. Colleges are spending big money right now trying to on computer systems and so on, and people to try to track their graduates and find out where they are so that they can hit them up for money. The foundation can contact them later. That's a very big business. Anybody that's graduated from college knows that you get phone calls. If they have tracked you down, that you get phone calls and stuff like that. Well, a much better approach there might be to ask those people to give back to the community, either giving back to the high school students in that community or to the college students from the college where they graduated. So the basic idea is a student creates a profile of themselves. A college could create a profile of itself. A business, an employer, could create a profile of itself. But the system is not really dependent on either the college or the employer to initiate anything. Colleges don't have to jump in. Employers don't have to jump in. It's the students that are graduating that are going to go out and find those contacts, find the jobs, find out how many nurses work at Mayo in Red Wing, how many nutrition people work at Mayo in Lake City, how many computer programmers, .NET programmers work at a certain organization wherever. And that profile of the employers and the profile of the colleges gets built up by the students that are out there doing that job hunting. And then we can connect up all those contacts. People that need mentors or internships can go to the database, find employers, organizations in their area who can, and they can ask them to be a mentor. Instead of waiting around for a mentor to volunteer, they can reach out and ask that person to be a mentor. All right. It's currently set up using .NET, .NET languages, .NET framework. We have it running on SQL Server, using Entity Framework. We're using an NN portal system for doing user authentication. Yeah, go ahead. All right. So I think we'll do a quick demo of, we don't have a lot of this pulled together yet. I spent way too much time in the database design, which got way out of control, but basically, let's do a quick demo of what we have. Okay. So all of these contacts, pretty much everybody involved in the system, whether you're a student, an instructor, a recruiter, college recruiter, HR person, all of these people can log into the system log in. Oh, I need that VPN connection. Yep. Where'd that connection go? Oh, there. All right, we don't have a lot here yet, but a student can log into the system. This information is actually being pulled from the student profile, but other types of users would see exactly the same screen. They can enter their contact information. Down below here, there'll be a section that'll be fairly similar to what you'd find in LinkedIn, where you can enter your skills. And then there'll be other pages where students can enter information about jobs. So they go out and they talk to somebody at Mayo, and they say, well, we have a couple of database administrators. Here's the information. Here are the skills that are required for that job, and then we can match up the skills of an individual person with the skills of a job. We can also match up the skills that students would gain from graduating with a degree. So you look at the classes they've taken, we can build up that profile and correlate the skills that you get from taking those classes with the skills that are required for a particular job. Okay, what part of this requires the gigabit internet? I think I'll have Jim come up and demo something. We don't have this live on the system yet, but basically, in order to, I think I have that page right here. Yep, there we go. You've seen these kinds of things before, where you go to Google or you go to whatever website. You start typing something, and it'll start suggesting things related to what you're typing. That actually would be a pretty important part of this whole picture. If you're going to, since anybody might be creating a profile, say for Mayo Clinic or for US Ignite, they may not, that profile may already exist, and we want that student wants to tap into that profile. They may not know exactly how that company would enter that name, so they start typing something, and the system will suggest, find all of the company names that.
Except this time it's just skills.
Yeah, well, this is skills, but pretty much all through the whole system we have pretty much exactly the same thing. Okay, so he types A and he finds accounting skills, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can select, you select which category you wanted to do it in, and what we're doing, the only thing we're doing with the gigabit, and it's really not really actually all that necessary. It's the AJAX request to fill in the list, like the Google search stuff works. I spent so much time setting up the server and setting up the grabbing the data that this is as far as I got. But this would be a piece of the profile, and this is just a way to essentially lower the skills list that we get, so that people would normally start selecting a skill that we already have the name for instead of misspelling analytical or anything else that we can't track. So that's the idea.
Yeah, in order for the database to be searchable, you want the same things to be entered pretty much the same way every time. So this would, as the user is typing information, whether it's a company name, a college name, a skill, all those fields, the system can be looking that up and presenting options to the user. And if the user really doesn't see anything on that list that applies, they could just go ahead and enter their own search term.
Just notionally, what kind of recommendation engine or contextual engine would you be building to realize that?
Basically, just looking at the data that we already have in the system. So as the profile gets created, okay, so we get a class of people graduating with Java programming, JavaScript, HTML, CSS. they start putting those terms in there. You know, maybe those terms aren't in the database at all. So they add them in, and it adds in pretty transparently. But you've probably seen the same thing if you go to LinkedIn. If you type in Java, it'll suggest a whole bunch of Java things, and you start to realize right away, you know, all I want is Java. I don't want all this, you know, Java, whatever, EE, such and such edition. That's limiting the number of responses I'm going to get if somebody does a search. Now we can do, you know, more kind of free text types of searches to link things, but it's a whole lot easier if people just enter the data in a simple, in a way that's simple to search from the beginning. So that's, you know, those AJAX calls to give users, you know, a good idea of what's already in the system, so that they can just use that to make the searches a lot more accurate. All right, so that's pretty much the product demo here. My glasses.
All right,
Yep.
30 seconds.
Okay.